Mr. Shah from Mahindra's and Mr. Chawla. I can take everybody's names, but I think all our friends here and all the distinguished participants, very good evening to you. Truly apologize that I got a little held up, but I was clearing all my files accumulated in the last couple of days because I don't like to go with any of these pending things. Very delighted that you have chosen this subject. Very rarely have I come across somebody concerned about the future of manufacturing with a specific focus on quality. And I compliment the FICCI leadership for taking an initiative almost resonating with Prime Minister Modi's efforts to sensitize our people about zero defect and zero effect. He's been at pains trying to speak about how we can focus on sustainability, how we can look at high quality products coming out of India's table. And personally, I believe that quality really comes at either no cost or it actually helps us reduce our cost. The cost of bad quality is always going to be more than the cost incurred to ensure good manufacturing practices and good quality. And clearly, excellence in manufacturing is something which is not new to India. There is no sector where we don't have this high quality manufacturing. Automobile, we are world class. I think some of the standards we have accepted in Mahindra's or Tata's or all our companies is probably way ahead of what is being done in many other parts of the world. What we are doing in Hindustan Lever, what's happening in our financial services world is world class. Our hospitality, where we are right now, is comparable to the best in the world. But sadly, we still live in two worlds. We have one world which is highly quality conscious, contemporary, forward-looking, engaging with the best in the world with confidence. And we have a large segment who has still not been sensitized to the value of high quality. And I believe an association like FICCI, particularly given your large presence in the MSME sector also through your partnerships with smaller associations across the country, can actually play a very important role in taking this message to the smaller companies, our micro or MSME sector companies. And why I say this is important is because this old mindset, and I've said it on many occasions, I don't know if I've shared it with this august audience at any point of time, we still live in the old mindset of a product X being made for domestic market and a superior sanitizer being made for the world market. And then we would proudly say export quality. And then many of us would be willing to pay a premium, "Arey export quality ke acha hi hoga." That mindset has to change. Quality has to be the same. And that has to be world class. It just cannot afford to be anything but the best. And the moment that culture comes into our system, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in our packaging and design, even when we are trying to market our handicrafts or handlooms, and of course, whether it's the areas where we are engaged on a world-class scale, where, things like communication, things like hospitality also has this alternate models. If you don't mind, sometimes we also differentiate within our customers based on the color of his skin. And not necessarily in a city like Mumbai or Delhi, but certainly you go to a small town or a small place, and there is that colonial mindset about which Prime Minister Modi spoke on 15th August, which we have to get out of our system. And certainly our children don't like that. They don't want that. They hate it if there's a separate treatment given to somebody vis-a-vis maybe a poorer person or an underprivileged person locally. that colonial thinking, if we can remove from our ecosystem, it will help us also in our focus on quality. The poor consumer in India's villages, the poorest of poor in India's, in our country, deserves the same good quality that Sanjeev, your and my children, or Jyotiji's children, or Naina's family has. I think that will be the defining feature which will help us engage with the world as an equal from a position of strength, and then we won't be crying over lack of market access, lack of equal opportunity in world markets. Then we'll go to the world with confidence. After all, we could never have done an agreement with a country like Australia or UAE if we didn't have the confidence in all of you, that you can and you will expand the frontiers of our market, engage with any competition from across the world, and yet capture market share for India, jobs for India, new opportunities for our young boys and girls. And therefore, I think, in a way, COVID has helped us understand the value of quality. I remember when the first lockdown happened, we were desperately going around the world looking for PPEs, looking for even masks in significant number. Almost everything associated with COVID, to the best of our understanding at that point of time, was something we didn't make in India. And our Indian industry came up to the challenge. We were able to convert COVID into an opportunity. We are now the world's second largest manufacturer of personal protective equipment, PPEs. In defense, we have shown in the last 2 years how we've been able to focus on domestic manufacturing, so much so that now we are talking of exporting our BrahMos missile to the Philippines possibly. And there's a certain resurgence of confidence in our manufacturers that we can do it and we will do it. And I think it is this spirit that has been kindled during COVID, the confidence that India has developed as a nation, that we can fight the severest of health emergencies or problems and come out winner, is an opportunity we should not lose. We have to carry that enthusiasm and the focus forward as much as we can, and not let that fire in the belly die down. And look at the message of self-reliance, Atmanirbharta. When Prime Minister Modi first spoke of it, there was some criticism. They said, oh, it's very inward-looking. We were at pains trying to explain it's not at all inward-looking. It's actually opening our doors to international engagement even wider. Every country will have its competitive advantages on which they can focus. But if we don't engage with the world, we don't engage with international markets, we are the losers. The world will move on. And today the whole world is talking of Atmanirbharta. The United States is talking of building America better, bringing back manufacturing to America. The only one piece of legislation which they've been able to manage to get passed with bipartisan support is the CHIPS Act, supporting semiconductor industry with $40 billion. And we were well ahead of the curve. We came out with a policy nearly a year ago on semiconductors. And if you see the CHIPS Act, it draws a lot. I mean, I don't know whether it draws from our policy, but it's very similar, whatever may be the reason. It's very similar to our own policy. And therefore, I think the momentum that we have gained as a nation, the confidence that has changed our mind from who will do it to we will do it. The message that Prime Minister Modi gave on 15th August, the 5 commitments, 5 pran, I hope you all have seen and heard about it. Those can be extremely confidence-building principles on which if we collectively as a nation can focus our energies, I promise you there's no power on earth that can stop us from becoming a developed nation in the next 25 years. The confidence of collective effort, the confidence of duty, the feeling that we are all doing it, it's a part of our duty. It's not just about our profits, it's not just what we are told to do, but it's our duty to our nation and to the less privileged sections of society that we have to make India a developed nation and take prosperity to every single home through the length and breadth of the country. The fact that we are trying to talk about the unity and ekta or ekjutta, get everybody on board to work as one with the India First principle, can truly transform minds and transform outcomes. And each of these principles, ladies and gentlemen, reflect the growing confidence of India. Of course, he has dwelt at length also about removing corruption, and I am talking about it on every forum that unless you give us the feedback where the problems are, where you face difficulty, where you think compliance is daunting, where you think the laws can be simplified, processes and procedures can be simplified. We need that feedback from all of you. We need to know which laws can be decriminalized. And the day each one of you looks upon that as your duty, God forbid somebody asks you for a bribe. You have two options. You can pay that, get your work done and say, please, I am sorted. Or you can come up to us and tell us this is what is happening so that we can take action on it. We can do a root cause analysis, find out how we can ensure that somebody else doesn't get harassed. We can look at ways to simplify, make it more transparent. But all of this is possible only with your active participation. And I believe that participation is our collective duty. If the nation has to be a developed nation, it will be with everybody's effort. And therefore, excellence in management, in manufacturing, and quality consciousness comes in that same category of a collective effort of all of us and taking it down to all our associate chambers of commerce, people associated with manufacturing in our entire ecosystem, so that we can work with confidence, we can talk to other countries with confidence, we can offer our products, goods, services, knowing full well that whatever we offer will be world class, will be acceptable to them. And as we are expanding our engagements, UK is at the cusp. Of course, we had a little setback because of the very sad demise of Her Majesty the Queen, but now they are back in business, so we are also back in business. We'll be engaging with them. In fact, I just received a letter 2 days back, again reiterating that they want to stick to the Diwali deadline. That is the interest that the world has in India. I was with the New Zealand minister just before I came here. While New Zealand is far away, very small economic interest, but he says, even if you're not interested in an FTA, and honestly, I have no bandwidth to start any more FTAs. I already have Israel waiting in the wings, apart from UK, Canada and EU. The GCC is, the terms of reference are finalized. They are very keen to launch quickly, and that was also on my agenda when I was in Saudi Arabia to buy some time, because the ministry just has no bandwidth to engage with another set of 6 countries on a GCC negotiation. The world wants to engage with us. The world has more confidence in us than I think we have in ourselves. When I talk to different industry segments, and sometimes the pushback I get is actually disappointing. Because I believe we are not understanding that the world will open up opportunities for us also. Sometimes we become too protectionist. We don't realize that now those days are gone. If you want expanded markets, you have to engage with the world. And well, I must acknowledge I'm really a satisfied commerce minister in the sense wherever I've engaged with industry, and many of you have come for my meetings, you know we have extensive stakeholder consultations. I have received the highest level of cooperation by and large, save and except an occasional bloomer here or there, but by and large we have received very extensive cooperation and a huge confidence when we are doing stakeholder consultations. But we can't ignore that there's a large section of industry where this quality consciousness has to come in, otherwise we won't be able to enjoy the full fruits of all that we are trying to get through these foreign engagements. We can only act as an enabler or a facilitator. Business will have to be done by all of you. And I think, should we all collectively decide that we are going to focus on capturing world markets, I can tell you in the last 2 days in Saudi Arabia, I must have discussed 30 sectors in which they want us to participate. 30 sectors. Pharma, they're looking at huge potential with India. Mining, and many of us may have thought mining in Saudi Arabia, they're opening up mining in a big way. Huge opportunities. I don't even need to tell you their excitement about a bridge between Saudi Arabia and India for innovation and startups. They are very keen to look at sorting out all anti-dumping cases and all the irritants to trade bilaterally so that our businesses can flourish both ways. There's a large project called NEOM, N-E-O-M, coming up, and please research that, Google it after my speech. It's a huge infrastructure development. Our infrastructure companies need to go out. In fact, I would urge some of you to look at setting up infrastructure companies. The amount of infrastructure work we have in India and the work that's going to happen in the US, in Europe, in all the Gulf countries, they're all looking at infrastructure investments to drive their economies out of recession. Of course, the Gulf countries also to protect them in the post-oil world, whenever that happens. They already started planning for that. And NEOM, even if we send 100 contracting companies and 100 infrastructure developers to Saudi Arabia, they'll be able to absorb all of them. That is the level of investments. And they say, because we don't have alternatives, we are dependent on countries from certain geographies. We would love to see Indian companies because we trust Indian companies. That's the confidence they have in all of you. Fintech, EdTech, health tech, huge opportunities. Education. They want our educational institutes to set up campuses there, expand dual degrees, make use of the new education policy, greater cooperation on education. Medical devices, focus area for them. E-gaming and e-commerce, both. Online gaming and e-commerce. Both particular focus areas on which they want Indian expertise to help them grow both domestically and learn the art, which means huge opportunities for our companies. They are not very keen to get the big tech there. They want our smaller e-commerce companies who can then help them maintain a balance between their physical stores and e-commerce activity. Food security, they want to be partners with us, they trust us. They want to set up resilient supply chain for food security in that country. Huge agri and food processing opportunity. I'm looking at each ministry because I covered 30 departments in this 1.5 day engagement with them. Environment, they say climate change is our big priority. Can you get the environment minister, the petroleum minister and the renewable energy minister together with you next time and hopefully next month, because we want to work with your companies on renewable energy. We don't want to be dependent on certain countries, you all understand. For a supply of renewable energy equipment, we want Indian companies to supply us renewable energy equipment. So mining, of course, is good for you, Subhakant. Should be taking the next flight to Saudi Arabia. I'm trying to think, they're looking at huge renewable energy cross-border flow, which means huge opportunity for our transmission companies, including through submarine cables, so that the world can, I don't know if you are aware or no, way back in 2007 or 8, Prime Minister Modi in Gujarat as Chief Minister, and very often giving a speech, he comes up with an idea. It was not on his prepared text. I asked him, he said, कोई text वेक्स्ट नहीं था, मुझे ऐसे ही बोलते बोलते ध्यान आया कि भाई सूरज तो 24 घंटे किधर ना किधर तो उगता ही है. Sun shines bright 24 hours somewhere in the world. What if we were to have interconnected grids and transmit solar power from one country to the other? We would have clean energy throughout the world. And they say the sun gives so much energy that it can power the entire globe's requirement many times over. I mean, it was just a thought he threw out 15 years ago in Gujarat. Today the whole world wants to do it. We had Singapore meeting on his birthday on the 17th, where they have expressed interest in underground cable, partly underground, partly onshore. It could be various combinations. Between Singapore and India, they are 2.5 hours ahead of us. Saudi Arabia is 2.5 hours behind us. We could throw in UAE in between and maybe 1 or 2 ASEAN countries in between. Can you imagine what a flow of power it could be to meet the peak hour requirements of different countries, which is the biggest challenge. Afternoons and all we can sort out with solar power domestically. It's the peak hour which is the biggest challenge, because of which we are still dependent on fossil fuels in a big way. And all those countries who used to criticize us for coal, today they are all finding virtue in coal-based power plants. When we used to tell them in every forum, whether at COP, whether at WTO, whether at the G20 meetings or at the G7 meetings, look, we still have not achieved the technological capabilities to wish away coal. Developing countries also have a right to have low-cost energy. We have teeming millions who can't afford the overall cost of clean energy once you factor in transmission, factor in the time of day issues. They would give us a lot of gyan and pontificate literally on us. Suddenly they find virtue in starting all their coal plants. And I don't lose a single opportunity to rub it in. I'll get another opportunity tomorrow. Anyway, I can only say this. We, ladies and gentlemen, are committed to making India a manufacturing hub. We've come out with PLIs on 14 sectors, apart from the semiconductor, aggregating both of them about nearly 2.73 lakh crores. We are willing to go the extra mile in other sectors. Should there be the need, we are working on a few PLI schemes already. We see a lot of opportunity in our auto sector, see a lot of opportunity in our textile sector, huge opportunity in e-commerce, for which we are trying to bring in the open network for digital commerce, so that just like UPI, it's a UPI clone almost. And to explain it to you, today when you go on a platform, suppose you go on a platform X, all the suppliers of platform X are visible to you and you buy from one of them. And therefore that platform X has a power over your choice of what to buy. Customer choice is determined by what that platform is pushing to you. So if they have some sister companies, they have their own products, they'll push that right on top and kind of lead you towards buying that. ONDC only brings all platforms onto one network. And then you go on any platform who's a part of ONDC. Let's say you go on your platform and say, I want to buy this hand sanitizer, 300 ml bottle. It should have minimum 70% alcohol. All those who are listed on that platform will also come. But every other platform who is on ONDC, which has a similar listing, will also come on your site or on your mobile or on your laptop. And you as a consumer will have so much wider choice. You can decide if you want from your neighborhood, you want faster delivery, price is your main focus, you want a particular payment, you don't have to pay as he desires you to pay. You can choose to pay in any mode, including payment on delivery. You can choose the delivery person, whether you want X to deliver it or India Post to deliver it or Delivery is a company also to deliver it. Or if you're happy with the delivery of any particular large tech company, you can. So what did UPI do? Instead of concentration of wealth in one or two companies, which could have possibly even been HSBC Bank, Nana. Instead of concentration of the entire business in one or two or three entities, no offense, man, it is on a lighter note. Instead of one or two having the entire pricing power, having entire customer data, instead of one or two or three companies becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, today we have 50, 70, 100 fintech companies blossoming and mushrooming. Similarly, ONDC will help many of our young entrepreneurs who I see before me come up with localized solutions, come up with small platforms, get small retailers on board, save a huge mom and pop store, kirana store ecosystem, providing employment and work opportunity to crores of people across the country, save them from closure, save them from becoming extinct, like they have in America and many other countries. Save this ecosystem, yet bring them, onboard them onto with the comfort and convenience of e-commerce, give them modern ways to work, expand their business, and give them probably a more profitable future. All of these are commitments that we have done. We seek your support to make all of these happen on the ground. And as things move more and more to e-commerce, again, quality is going to decide. Affordability is important, delivery is important, service is important. But if you don't make good quality products, very quickly you'll be out of the business, out of marketplaces. And if we do good quality, sky is the limit. We are seeing that happen in toys ever since we introduced the toy quality control order, seeing an improvement in the quality of toys, reduction in crappy toys that were coming in from abroad, and a greater acceptance of Indian-made toys within the country. Also, great growth in our export of toys. Many more sectors where we are hoping to introduce such quality control orders. Again, I will seek your support when we do that, but I have the confidence you certainly will. We have started a national single window. I urge all of you. It's in beta testing, but somehow industry and businesses have not yet adopted that single window. It may have shortcomings. Please tell us what more you want in that, so that we can keep adding new approval processes, simplifying them wherever I get feedback from you. But unless you engage and give us that feedback, how will we serve you better? Please appreciate that we will have our own limitations of understanding the needs of business. It's your feedback that will help us serve you better. So a lot of things to be said. We have a $2 trillion goods and service target by 2030. I'm banking on all of you to make that happen. We on our part will give you more flexibility and better trading arrangements with developed countries. Please grab those opportunities. 5 focus areas to conclude my talk, and I would urge you to take these focus areas forward. Of course, standards are important. We are trying to bring all standards aligned to international standards, but your feedback and input will help us with better quality, better durability, better design, obviously leading to affordability and competitive pricing, and sustainability also, which is today getting us a better value for our goods and services. So I would urge you to focus on standards and then engage with standards bodies to make them more robust, align them with international standards, and request each one of you to adopt those standards. Second, we cannot wish away technology-led manufacturing. Industry 4.0 is a reality. Just like we couldn't wish away computers once upon a time. Modern manufacturing has come to stay. It doesn't mean loss of jobs. It means a change of job. We'll have to reskill, upskill, retrain our people. Technology will start having a greater focus. People will have to relearn and become more useful to manufacturing chains. And therefore, I'd invite all of you to look at skill development also as a core function. So Hindustan Lever has some of the best management training programs, but I wish they would share it with many more. I wish, and I must compliment you, Jyoti ji, for the wonderful gesture of our young physically challenged boys and girls being a part of hospitality. Thank you very much. I hope that message goes to our entire hospitality sector and other industry participants. We need to care for our Divyangs. But at the same time, we'll have to accept technology. And therefore, even after all, if they can put in such hard work and become good part of a hospitality chain, I can assure you every single child in this country, if you train them well, give them an opportunity, they can do wonders. So look at IoT, look at artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, all of these are there. They have come to stay. We have to adopt them or we'll miss the bus. Similarly, trade is also evolving. We'll have to accept FTAs. We'll have to accept greater openness in our economy. It has to be a win-win for both. It can't be one side. I want access for my products there, but I want to block their products from coming into India. It doesn't work that way. And let's go with confidence. We can do it. We have all the right ingredients in India. And therefore, trade will have to globalize, while we can localize domestic consumption wherever it's very critical to our national security, like we're doing for semiconductors. We must engage more with the world, get the best from the world, offer the best to the world. We have focused on logistics, as was rightly pointed out, and I assure you I'm very confident, given the huge thrust and investments and the smart, intelligent planning going through PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan and our effort to make logistics more relevant to your needs, we'll certainly make infrastructure affordable and logistics come down by at least those 300, 400 bips that you mentioned. Fourth, I would request you to focus on the sustainable development goals in whatever way each one of you can contribute. Green energy, manufacturing providing jobs, a consciousness about waste, consciousness about cleanliness, consciousness about the less privileged, marginalized sections of society. I know Naina's husband Rashid does a lot of work on climate change. Each one of us can contribute towards a better future for our children, and sustainable development goals can be one guiding light towards a better future for our country. And finally, we have already got these PLIs in place for manufacturing. Any more new ideas you have, please share it with us. Backward and forward linkages we must try and strengthen so that supply chains in India can become more robust. We must look at the cluster approach to make manufacturing more competitive. Let's focus on electric vehicles and newer technologies which can help us save the planet and save our country. And today we are seeing serious impact of climate change all across the world. Defense, pharma, these are areas where we have to truly look at self-sufficiency, because we've suffered in the past for our inability to chart our own future domestically and being overtly dependent on foreign countries. So friends, as the Prime Minister says, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. This is the time. This is our time. Let's go for it. There's no better time to make in India. There's no better time to invest in India. Let's go for it, friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir, for all those valuable inputs and such a motivational address we had from the Honorable Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal ji. We thank him once again, and I invite for the concluding address and vote of thanks, Mr. Shubhrakant Panda. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Minister Shri Piyush Goyal ji, I would like to begin by thanking you for taking time out despite your busy schedule to be with us today. And I'll just initially briefly just summarize. I think you made a very comprehensive speech covering several aspects. I'll just summarize some of it and where FICCI could help take the Honorable PM's vision and your guidance ahead. Sustainability is something that has been, I think, a thread which has run through all the sessions that we had earlier today. And you, I think, put it in the terms of zero defect, zero effect, which has been espoused by the Prime Minister. And of course, again, pointed out that quality is not a cost, but an opportunity. And it calls for a mindset change, because there are a large segment which needs to be sensitized on the importance of quality. And I assure you that FICCI would work to take this forward and carry this message to particularly MSMEs and the entire ecosystem, the manufacturing ecosystem.